the kind of borrowing that is possible, which is allowed, the local bodies together are exploiting only 1/10 of what they can go ahead and borrow with approvals. So they are not really doing their job either. JNNURM, all of us here at least would know about this. The problem here has been the kind of breakup that is requested from the ULBs. The smaller ULBs simply don't have the capacity to put up the finances. For some reason, the state government makes that as an excuse for not giving their funds. So maybe there will be a change that will happen. But this is a large source of income, but only to a few cities, big cities. The international donor agencies, if you look at that, MUTP, slum sanitation, there has been a World Bank engagement that has come about has been around for quite some time. Inefficiencies, coordination issues and delays have made people pull up governments at all the levels. Recently, we've had an involvement of the agencies such as Japan for the MTHL DMIC Metro. DMIC, strictly speaking, is not the metropolitan level infrastructure. It's a national level thing. But this is a nice thing that is happening. The problem with international donor agencies are well documented. They need to come down to the people, and we have these peculiar institutional things that keep on happening, and they need to understand these things. Same thing is true with public-private partnership. This is something that has been talked around for too long, but never really invited in. Mainly, there is a trust deficit on both sides, from public and private. There is a huge trust deficit here. And special purpose vehicles are being set up. The nice thing that is happening is that we have SPV, SOE, and this Mumbai Urban MUIDCL kind of a company that has been set up to kind of empanel various and create capacities with the smaller ULBs. So something is happening by way of empowering the capacities. So if you look at the MMR balance sheet, what you find is that basically about 12% of the investment that is happening, please don't ask me how I got these numbers because the data is simply not available. This is a best guess estimate that I've had, is the 12% is public investment. The actual investment that is called for by the business plan that we have for MMR region, only 1/3 of it has happened during the period of the study that I did for this particular book. And this clearly is not enough, and something needs to happen here. So, metropolitan governance, we have a crazy quilt pattern. We call it's ostensibly polycentric, but it's really not. It should be polycentric, not a single person. He will be too empowered and too powerful. Therefore, you need polycentricity, but not the kind of polycentricity with 40 parastatals, each owing its whatever to central, state, etc., and engaging with each other in litigation all the time. So that needs to change. MMRDA, for example, has a conflict in its very constitution. I mean, it's got a conflict of interest. It's a player, it's a developer, it's a regulator, everything. So, some role of MPC, it was mentioned. It's complete farce. We've had about 3 or 4 meetings, and they have not been able to discuss what the agenda should be. They just fight about it. And MMRDA's interest is that they say we are already here as planners, developers. What the hell are these people doing here? So, something to be looked at. So, summing up, for MMR, I have one more slide. MMR is better, of course, than other places, but infrastructure is the important thing. Governance is the key here. I'm not at all touched, but the important priors here have to do with affordable housing, and even prior to that, about efficient land markets. These are crucial priors, and unless we look at these things, it's not going to happen. Effective decentralization, if you want to look at metropolitan government as a derived category, then you need effective decentralization, matter of political will. It simply is not happening. So the questions going forward, what kind of shape of the government do we want to manage the metropolitan regions with? Whether it's to be empty shell, whether it's to be an empowered mayors at local bodies, then empowering another mayor with sectoral specifications. What kind of constitutional statutory modifications will be called for? 74th CA will have. Should we have a mandate expansion for FCs and SFCs? It's all possible. What is the level of autonomy do we envisage? For metropolitan regions, can we think of them as special regions, as SEZs almost, and give them greater, we know the China experience, they did that, and they are in some kind of trouble in terms of over borrowing, but they have been growing, so there is a central level headroom there. India doesn't have it, so we have to be careful about this. Above all, we need to create a fiscal space and specific fiscal assignment to the metropolitan level of government, whatever kind of thing you are envisaging within the national public finance. Reforms are not for the faint-hearted, as Roy has pointed out in his chapters, and even prior to that, can we try a pilot with the help of World Bank? Take MMR and try a pilot of this kind. So, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Pithe. We will take the questions in the end. Now, I will request Mr. UPS Madan, Commissioner, MMRDA. You have got 10 minutes.
Good morning, everybody. After hearing Professor Pithe, I was quite surprised to see that economists and bureaucrats think alike, at least in Mumbai, which is a very rare thing to happen. Because what he said and what I have jotted down on my notes would be quite similar in many ways. I got the opportunity to glance through some of the chapters of the book, Financing Metropolitan Governments in Developing Countries, particularly chapter 6, which has been written by Bird and Slack. It gives a very excellent overview of what the needs of the larger cities are, what are the resources available to them, a comparative analysis of different modes or different sources of revenue which can be generated, and comparative analysis of different cities, how different cities are responding to these situations. It has been mentioned in that chapter 6, yes, big cities, larger cities do require large amount of funds because the needs are high, needs are more. Well, yes, of course, this is one of the main reasons, but one more reason which perhaps has not been mentioned is aspirations, higher aspirations. To me, that's also very important because people in larger cities, metro cities, they aspire more, maybe because of higher level of exposure, higher level of awareness. They see things happening elsewhere and they also desire to have that kind of infrastructure in their cities as well. So yes, therefore they need more finances and we need to look at how the finances can be provided. Big cities are treated differently, yes, that is also a fact. If you compare it with the big cities with smaller cities, yes, because of their higher needs, they should be treated differently by the governments, both at the center and the state level. But even within large cities or the equal level of large cities, some of the cities are treated differently, maybe because of political reasons, maybe because of the status of a particular city. I can cite example of Delhi and Mumbai. Yes, people can justify the Delhi being capital city gets much more funds from Government of India as compared to what Mumbai gets. But the fact is that the two cities are being treated differently. The constitutional amendment and various municipal laws, they have mandated the municipal authorities to, with lot of responsibilities, be it water supply or waste management or health and education, local transport, etc. But unfortunately, the right to the resources, that is not with the municipal government. Most of the rights are with the state governments or central government. Whether it is to levy a new tax, or in many cases even increasing the rates of an existing tax which is available with the local government, or getting a share from the tax which is levied by and collected by a state or central government. So it's a little bit of imbalance here, that the responsibilities are on the ULB, while the right to recover taxes, right to levy taxes, right to share taxes, that is not with the ULB, that is totally with the higher level of governments. It has been mentioned about income tax and sales tax as very good sources of revenue generation for the ULBs. Yes, they should be given share out of these taxes, as the potential is very high. It's a fact. But it becomes a turf war. If a tax is levied and collected by, say, central government, they would not like to share it with the state government, and same with the state government vis-a-vis the local government. If I, as a municipal commissioner, go to my finance secretary in the state and ask him that please put 2% surcharge on sales tax or stamp duty or any other existing tax which is going to the state government, he would say, if I have that political will of imposing 2% extra surcharge, I would rather recover it for myself. Why should I give it to you? No, it's a fact. No government, whether it's a state government or central government, is financially comfortable enough to hand over part of the share to lower level of government. But the fact is that ULBs are struggling to get any new share from an existing tax base. Well, therefore, we have to look at whether we should keep on trying for getting shares from the existing taxes, or there are ways and means, or there are alternatives to those taxes, and we can find some new avenues within the local government level. To me, there is a huge potential at local levels as well. I mean, we have talked about in the book also, mention has been made about various alternative taxes, be it betterment charges or impact fee or development charges, etc. Now, in some countries, these charges or levies have been tapped adequately, but at least in India, we have not been able to tap, though huge potential lies here. The reasons could be political, because nobody wants to levy a new charge or a new tax in a democracy like India. In fact, levying any new tax or levy is considered to be detrimental to good political health. Well, as an alternative, yes, transfers or government grants are a good source of revenue. If you can't get any share from the existing tax, then government grants, that should be given. But there is a lack of clarity, lack of policy in providing these grants to ULBs. There are, of course, scheme-based grants, like we have JNNURM, we have VGF in PPPs, we have equity shares of Government of India and state governments in certain kind of projects, but these are all ad hoc. There are many ad hoc kind of grants also. We need to have a more structured kind of system of providing grants to the ULBs, because they need to know what is likely to come from a government. Suppose a big project is to be started or to be taken up by a municipal body, they should know that, okay, out of this 500 crore project,